the music of Cruis'n World.
Cruising the world, yeah, yeah!
With a racing game that lets you speed across the Great Wall of China and literally drive on the moon, you'd expect its music to match that same kind of energy, right? Well, the Cruis'n World soundtrack does just that. Every single song feels tirelessly thrilling, carefree, and engaging. You know what? Forget all those frilly adjectives. The music from Cruis'n World is just pure fun. And when you take the soundtrack's remarkably fun atmosphere and layer it on top of its rapid, propelling rhythmic foundation, I think the music from Cruis'n World fittingly illustrates one of the most familiar human experiences in the modern world: driving. Throughout the soundtrack, you'll find songs that reflect the exhilarating rush of hitting the open road and beginning a new adventure. Other tracks perfectly capture the raw, unfiltered energy of speeding down the highway. There's also music that evokes the chill, carefree vibes of cruising down the street. And songs that symbolize the unique discoveries of traveling to faraway places. In essence, the Cruis'n World soundtrack is a musical love letter to the joys and freedoms of life on the open road, creating a captivating musical experience brimming with excitement and character. The Cruis'n series has earned its place among the most iconic arcade racing franchises, with its absurdly over-the-top gameplay mechanics and shameless, lowbrow sense of humor. And Cruis'n World is certainly no exception. If anything, this installment is the shining example of what makes a Cruis'n game fun, and I wholeheartedly believe its music is a major reason for this. So today, I want to listen to this soundtrack, explore how it exemplifies its themes, and see how such an outlandish, silly little 90s racing game is scored to such intricate, memorable music. Let's review, reflect, and celebrate the soundtrack to Cruis'n World. This is VGM Quest.
You've got the speed, you've got the power to cruise the world.
But before we move along, I think we need a little more context. So, let's take a look at the back of the box. Want to see the world the easy way? Cruise it. Race through the deserts of Australia, zip through the streets of Paris, or blast through the roadways of China. Play the new championship mode to earn power-ups and secret cars. Go it alone or challenge up to 3 friends to see who's the fastest. Check your passport at the door. With Cruis'n World, you've got the power. All right, see, this is what I'm talking about. It's foot on the gas, no brakes. Every single sentence except for one ends in an exclamation mark. It's that classic 90s energy. And with this context in mind, let's get into it. First off, I want to give a quick disclaimer for those unfamiliar with the game. The Cruis'n World soundtrack has 2 versions, the original arcade version and the N64 version, which was released later. The N64 versions of the songs stay true to the original arcade compositions, maintaining all core musical elements. But the songs aren't exact copies. They were essentially recreated for the N64 port of the game. This process can also be defined as arranging. I personally am a much bigger fan of the N64 arrangements, so those are the ones we'll be covering. Plus, there are a couple exclusive tracks only found in this version, which we'll get into in a little bit. With all that being said, the Cruis'n World soundtrack shifts between 5 primary genres. Rock, accented by crunchy, wailing electric guitars and hard-driving drum beats. Acid jazz, featuring deep, hazy grooves with a rooted sense of soul. Funk, showcasing splashy electric guitars and articulate drum and bass rhythms. Eurodance, with trance-inducing dance beats and expressive rhythmic synths. And Worldbeat, a Western perspective on music from overseas, fusing standard Western rhythm patterns with traditional instrumentation from countries around the world. When it comes to the actual instruments used, Cruis'n World has a few repeat offerings. In just about every song, you'll hear the drums and bass guitar, which make up the core rhythmic foundation of the entire soundtrack. Other commonly spotted instruments are the electric guitar, electric keys, organ, and various synthesizer sounds, each playing a distinctive role in fashioning the lively, colorful atmosphere of Cruis'n World's music. And responsible for the sound and feel of these tracks is Vince Pontarelli. Pontarelli's music career began in 1989, where he quickly found his niche in the pinball and arcade industry. It wasn't long before he joined Midway Games, where he worked as a composer, sound designer, and project audio director for nearly 2 decades, shaping the sound of iconic franchises like Mortal Kombat, Rampage, and the Cruis'n series. Cruis'n World was released in arcades in 1996, and in order to keep the momentum going, game developer Eurocom was tasked with porting the game to the Nintendo 64. And as I mentioned earlier, this version of the game required the music to be rearranged. Enter Steve Duckworth, in-house composer for Eurocom. Rarely abandoning the source material, Duckworth honorably translated the Cruis'n World compositions in order to preserve Vince Pontarelli's original musical vision. However, Duckworth was given the opportunity to flex his own songwriting muscles, composing 4 entirely new tracks found exclusively on the N64 version. The naturally different approaches from both composers result in each song having its own distinct mood and personality. However, there is one musical characteristic found at the rhythmic roots of every song in the soundtrack: a pervading sense of energy, momentum, and speed through consistent use of hard-driving drum beats, heavy bass lines, and quick riffs. Put these various factors together and you've got the Cruis'n World soundtrack, a musical celebration of our sensational experiences and adventures behind the wheel. To more visually illustrate this, I'll put it a simpler way. The soundtrack's constant energetic rhythm is your car driving along, and each song's evocative tone and atmosphere is the experience of your road trip. All right, with all that said, I think it's time to check these songs out and hit the road.
Ready?
No, not yet. I still need to get gas and...
Set.
No, wait! I don't even have my seatbelt on yet! Wait,
Go!
stop! No!
We're gonna
Wait! Please! If you've ever been on a road trip, I don't need to tell you how intoxicating it can be, especially at the beginning. It's a rush to all of the senses. The thundering acoustics of the engine starting, the neon lights reflecting off the dashboard, the coarse texture of the seatbelt securing you into place, and the sweetly bitter taste of cheap gas station coffee, fueling your enjoyment as you take off. And this steady, unshakable feeling of excitement is best reflected in Cruis'n World's Eurodance Tracks. The Eurodance Tracks from Cruis'n World are all energy, all the time. These songs are characterized by their highly syncopated synth sequences and repetitive electronic dance beats, keeping a constant trance-like rhythm through and through. These mid-tempo songs each showcase a simple 4-on-the-floor style beat, making the music enticing and easily danceable. You know, interestingly, there's another definition for 4 on the floor, pertaining to a 4-speed manual gear shift mounted on the floor of a vehicle. Coincidence? Yeah, probably. But still kind of cool though, right? Anyway, I think a song that wonderfully displays all of these attributes is Euro House. After kicking off with its signature synth brass stab, Euro House quickly establishes its consistent, pounding rhythm. What immediately stands out is the vocalist, with French and Japanese phrases being sprinkled throughout the track. Now, I am no linguist, but according to my research, and by research I mean a YouTube comment section, this is what the lyrics translate to. Underneath the rich, smooth vocals are the contrasting, brisk electronic instruments. This opening section offers a deep, melodic bass line that dances around the straightforward dance beat. This is paired with a jittery, percussive organ sequence that fills in the remaining space left within the song's rhythmic atmosphere. Soon, the organ drops out, replaced by ethereal synth pads and a relaxed, triplet rhythm synth sequence, giving Eurodance a greater sense of depth and warmth. The song then transitions again by pulling that depth and warmth out from under us, by removing the synth textures that were just added. This makes the drums and synth stabs feel much more punchy and up close. I personally love the bass here. It changes into this quick, repetitive, descending sequence. It's subtle, but I think it adds to the song's overall trance-like feel. Then comes my personal favorite transition. The main drum beat cuts out, replaced by a lighter, syncopated percussive sequence. The bass and synth stabs punch their way forward with a cool, aggressive set of notes.
Here we go.
And as if that wasn't awesome enough, there's another interesting nuance to this section. During this transition, the song switches to 5/4 time for just one measure, something you rarely hear in dance music. Here, take a listen.
Here we go.
Man, Eurohouse is something else. For a dance song, there's tons of intricacies that really give it a lot of charm. Then there's Prepare for the Race. You know, for being only a 7-second loop, there's actually quite a bit to break down here. The bass line rhythm counters that of the drums, filling in the gaps and giving the song a more lively, percussive feel. Rounding out the identity of this piece is its tasteful use of the electric keys and vocal harmonies, both working together to add a cool, subtle sense of calmness. The vocals are especially welcome here, giving an organic feel to an otherwise fully electronic track. Prepare for the Race benefits from its simplicity, each instrument feeling purposeful and impactful. Next up is Shifter. Now at first, it's gonna sound like Shifter was put in the wrong category. But just give it a few more bars and you'll see why it's here. After the track's dirty, crunchy, and aggressive opening guitar riff, we're introduced to a heavily syncopated and repetitive trance-style beat, bringing with it an exhilarating sense of stamina. This genre-bending combination gives the track a hybrid rock-electronic musical style, which is pretty cool. Next comes the high-pitched, clean, siren-sounding synth lead, acting as the antithesis to the low, crunchy guitar. These different instruments are all performing their own distinct rhythms, giving the song a feeling of chaos or loss of control, something you do not want happening behind the wheel. But this feeling is quickly eradicated when entering into its next section. It feels calmer as the kick drum establishes a solid, steady beat, and some thin, colorful synth pads reverberate throughout the track. This is paired with some light, airy vocals, piling on even more warm textures. Soon, the signature drum beat returns, along with a slew of added embellishments, such as brisk, echoey synth strikes and extra vocal clips. From this point onward, the song adds and removes these various musical elements at varying times, conveying an ever-changing mix of tones and feelings throughout the track. Shifter is such an interesting, otherworldly addition to the Cruis'n World soundtrack, really making it stand out beyond the other tracks. But if there's one song from Cruis'n World that stands out even more, it's gotta be this.
Cruising the world. Yeah, yeah.
The absolutely iconic Cruis'n World main theme. Man, right from that opening chord as it swells and fades in, you know this one's gonna be a banger. The overall tone of the Cruis'n World theme feels bright and forward-looking, with a fast-paced beat, a bouncy melodic bass line which shifts between octaves, and a highly percussive synth sequence. All of these elements come together to build a strong sense of momentum and energy. It quite literally feels fast. But if that doesn't do it for you, I'm certain that Josie Falbo will. Her incredible range and energetic performance flawlessly sets the tone for what's to come in the Cruis'n World soundtrack.
You've got speed, you've got power, the Cruis'n World.
Right after Falbo sings her final notes, there's some great attention to detail with another synth riff closing out the musical loop. Just a 3-note sequence, this synth has a car horn oncoming traffic sound. It really makes it feel like you're zooming through traffic as quickly as you can. It's such a great touch. There really is no better song to open the Cruis'n World soundtrack. So I'm sure at this point you can really feel what I'm talking about, right? Cruis'n World's Eurodance tracks are a constant buzz of energy, speeding along with an unstoppable endurance that perfectly mirrors that surge of excitement we feel when buckling up, hitting the road, and never looking back. One of the most rewarding aspects of driving your own car is the physical, mechanical element of it. It's that thrilling sense of control over your vehicle as you confidently shift gears and accelerate. It's the sheer exhilaration of freely weaving your way in and out of traffic. It's the adrenaline rush of speeding down the highway with nothing in your way. It's pure, raw energy. And the Cruis'n World soundtrack impeccably captures this sensation in its rock tracks. Cruis'n World's rock music is all about the thrills, with each song showcasing fast, hard-driving drums and hot-blooded, punchy electric guitars. Differing from the heavily produced electronic Eurodance music, Cruis'n World's rock tracks feel rough, raw, and naturally captivating, emphasizing the gripping role that people play when maneuvering these monstrous mobile machines. Let's kick things into gear with Grunge Factor. This behemoth of a track opens with sludgy, palm-muted electric guitars and loud, booming drums that cut through the mix, initiating a fast, hard, aggressive rhythm that punches you square in the face. Next up is the introduction of the organ. It fades in, paving the way for the lead guitar to come crashing through, and it just rocks. The song's 70s-style hard rock riff continues as the guitars slowly move up the fretboard, adding intensity and momentum. Things continue to build into the next section, with the guitars still holding on to the spotlight, but now they're descending back down the fretboard with another raw, crunchy riff. And now comes my absolute favorite part. So, up until this point, it kind of feels like the song has been bottling up its aggression. But now, the instruments are let out of their cage. The guitars ring out and the organ goes completely haywire, stealing all the attention. And then every instrument quickly comes together to play Grunge Factor's last 2 measures in unison. An awesome rhythm and a nasty chord, a D7 sharp 9. I love this part. The music's quick, chaotic loss and regaining of control paints such a vivid picture in my mind. To me, it feels like you're speeding down the road, making a bold, sharp turn, and then losing control of your car as you slam on your brakes. Then, as you gain control again, you speed up even faster, burning rubber as you go. Grunge Factor is a fierce, outstanding track. So if you thought the energy was going to drop from here, you'd be sadly mistaken. Cruis'n Shuffle is the most energetic song from Cruis'n World, and it's not even close. The song boasts a quick-paced shuffle-style beat, accompanied by a fast, lively guitar riff. The power of this track pulls you in. Its personality is completely electrifying. And then comes the lead guitar, being quite possibly the most turbulent, unruly, vigorous guitar playing I've ever encountered in a video game soundtrack. See what I mean? It's got that same unforgiving energy as a 9-year-old kid who's hopped up on caffeine and sugar at the same time. It's just relentless. But that's just how it feels. What about how it's played? This melodic lead guitar is broken into 2 sections. The first section plays what I would call the main theme of the song. It's very memorable and catchy. The ending of this musical phrase almost gives off a clumsy, cartoonish sound before it restarts. It's sort of like the musical version of getting a flat tire. In the next section, the guitar is let loose and barrels into a much more haphazard style of playing, encompassing essentially every part of the fretboard, complete with string bends, tremolo picking, and the use of a whammy bar. 3 common guitar techniques that are hugely responsible for the song's frantic sense of excitement. As the song nears its end, the lead guitar rushes its way back up the fretboard one final time with just one measure to leave its final impression, by giving one more loud wail on top of the tumbling rhythm section. And it does it with flying colors. Cruis'n Shuffle is an unapologetically high-energy performance through and through, and it packs a punch harder than any other song in the soundtrack. Alright, let's change things up with the chase. This one has a totally different feel compared to the previous 2 tracks, but don't let that fool you. The chase is still a quintessential rock track. Let's start at the beginning. It opens with the drums, bongos, and bass guitar, each setting the groundwork for the song's hurrying pace. When things fully kick in, we get acquainted with a frantic organ performance alongside a more gracious horn section. Both take turns sharing the melody in the classic call and response style. When listening through, the saxophone prominent horn section performance feels stately and mature, while the organ contrastingly retorts with a bit more haste. It's such a great pairing, creating a hybrid musical backdrop of recklessness and sophistication. Continuing to increase in energy, the song then transitions up a few steps while also introducing the expressive lead guitar, adding yet another layer to this instrumentally busy track. This layering feels like it's a broad, underlying theme of the chase. Given the name of the song, I can't help but envision a police chase, and the continuously layering instruments reflect additional police cars chasing you down the highway. This all continues to build towards a long, effective suspended 4th chord, giving us, the listeners, a sense of ambiguity, as if, for a moment, you don't know if the cops are going to catch you or not. Quickly, the chord resolves and returns to its main theme. But it's not long until the chase reaches its energetic peak. The drums ramp up with complex fills and cymbal hits. The horns and organ strike together to emphasize the drum fills. And the guitar and bass pair up to perform a relentlessly rapid sequence of notes that borders complete chaos. It hits so hard. After this, the song continues to propel forward, featuring even more of the guitar. It plays a perfect counter melody, which, to me, sounds like sirens, being an indicator that the cops are catching up to you now. The chase has so much musical character and nuance. Every time I listen to this song, I hear something new. This one is by far one of the most unique tracks in the bunch. The chase, grunge factor, or Cruis'n Shuffle. It doesn't matter. Every rock-influenced song from Cruis'n World carries with it a very potent kind of energy, one that is intensely exciting and sensational. These tracks take an unprocessed, organic approach to their composition and structure, and the result is a celebration of the tangible, coordinated relationship between you, your vehicle, and the road. Look, the thrill of the highway is nice and all, But sometimes, it's good to slow down. Why don't you take a detour through town and, well, cruise? You know the feeling. The windows are down, the music is playing, and you've got nothing but time with nowhere to be. You're completely in the moment, taking in the sights, the sounds, and the vibes of the world around you. And this blissful driving experience is best reflected in Cruis'n World's acid jazz and funk tracks. Unlike Cruis'n World's Eurodance and rock offerings, the acid jazz and funk tracks are slower and looser, each song being grounded with a real sense of soul. The bass lines are tastefully melodic, the rhythmic guitars are full of charm, and as a whole, nothing feels overly showy or loud. In fact, it's more like the opposite. Things feel cool, laid back, and indifferent. And it's those three adjectives that flawlessly describe Choose Your Car. To kick things off, the song slaps you in the face with a bright brass strike, which quickly falls to make way for the rest of the instruments. This style of playing is called a glissando, commonly heard in jazz and funk music. The drums themselves are pretty straightforward and simple, accompanied by a range of more complex performances from other instruments. The bass is very expressive. Its sequence starts as a simple, smooth walk in sync with the drums, but then ends by playing a series of tight 16th note triplets. It's so good. Adding to the song's texture is the electric guitar, which slams out a cool, plucked rhythm, really contributing to the song's funk sound. But funk isn't the only influence here. It would be a sin not to mention that classic 90s hip-hop style record scratch. It gives off so much 90s energy that it's not even funny. Flaunting a curious combination of funk, jazz, and hip-hop, Choose Your Car offers an 8-second musical loop that you'd be hard-pressed not to bop your head to. The short but hard-hitting loops continue with Name Entry. This one is just full-on funk, incorporating an expressive drum pattern with sporadic snare hits, a subtle slap bass performance, and an enthusiastic guitar rhythm that quickly dances around the track. For being only a 3-second loop, Name Entry never seems to overstay its welcome, providing the Cruis'n World soundtrack with its most real, unadulterated sense of funk. Another great addition. These songs have their place, but let's get real here. If you want the song that undoubtedly puts the cruise in Cruis'n World, look no further than Jungle Bump. Jungle Bump has such a poignant feel that I almost feel like my words just won't do it justice. It opens with a deep, hazy jam, with the drums, bass, and electric keys grooving along, accented by frog, cricket, and other animal sound effects. It really makes the music feel tropical and warm. It's amazing. The lead guitar slides in with the melody. It feels chill and relaxed, with a hint of mysteriousness as the guitar resonates and echoes throughout the song's dense, humid atmosphere. And just when you think it can't get any more expressive, the song transitions into its second section. Here, the guitar strums out some of the most dirty, nasty chords that I've ever heard in a game soundtrack. It really gives Jungle Bump some stank. And God, I love me some stank. Well, now that I've said that, I feel like I need to explain myself. All right, quick detour. If you've seen musicians perform before, you might have seen some of them make faces that almost look like they're grossed out or disturbed, despite the music sounding great. Trust me, as a musician myself, I can assure you it's because of that good old stank. You just have to take my word for it. It's sort of hard to explain unless you're a musician. All right, anyway, soon we arrive at my absolute favorite part of the track. The drums and bass drop out, and the only things being left behind are the shakers, ride cymbal, and kick drum. really thinning out the track. On top of that, there's the guitar, which rings out into sweet, sweet oblivion with its bluesiest chord yet. And I've got to give a shout out to that elephant roar and the jittery electric keys which lead us back into the main beat. Jungle Bump is so damn good. It oozes cool. The animal sound effects accentuate the song's strong atmosphere. Throw these things together with the drums, bass, and keys, and it really feels like you're cruising through a hazy, humid jungle. For me, Jungle Bump can't be topped. The acid jazz and funk tracks are imbued with a nearly universal, yet indescribable sense of feel. It's carefree. It's chill. It's sensational. It's about vibing, a feeling best manifested through a laid-back afternoon cruising in your car. Windows down, arm out, and music playing. A quintessential part of the driving experience. The car is much more than a means of transportation. It's a vessel for exploration, an expression of free will. Driving gives you the freedom to discover new places. And when you explore these unfamiliar areas, you feel a delicate blend of excitement, fear, hesitance, and curiosity, all from the comfort of your own vehicle. This one-of-a-kind, ineffable feeling is perfectly embodied in Cruis'n World's Worldbeat Tracks. In reality, there are very few similarities between each of the Worldbeat tracks. However, at the core of these songs are still that same proverbial rhythmic foundation found throughout all of Cruis'n World's music. Beyond that, each of these tracks take on their own regional identity, incorporating common musical themes and instruments found within the respective regions and cultures they're representing. In simpler terms, these songs retain the familiarity of Western rhythms with the unfamiliarity of Eastern musical themes. This unique combination mirrors the real-life road trip juxtaposition of being in the comfort of your own car while simultaneously feeling the inquietude of driving through unknown places. Let's begin with the Nijibi. This track features an array of African-influenced percussion and sporadic chanting, all while maintaining a Western sense of rhythm and the conventional 4/4 time signature. This fusion of musical perspectives shapes a climate that's as captivating as it is exotic. Something notable about this track happens around the 40-second mark. Just about all the energy is depleted from the song as a large portion of the instruments drop out without warning. This stark change draws attention to itself, and the lost sense of rhythm is replaced by an increased feeling of uncertainty. Although it's the least musically involved song in the Cruis'n World soundtrack, Anijibi succeeds in creating a dense atmosphere that feels mysterious, intriguing, and foreign. Next up is the monolithic, larger-than-life Asia Minor. This song offers a propulsive rhythm featuring the drums, bass, electric keys, and the shamisen being plucked in a quick, repetitive sequence. Contributing to the song's Japanese feel is the song's melody, which is performed on the shakuhachi, a traditional flute-like instrument commonly heard in traditional Japanese music. I'd say this is one of the more memorable melodies found in the soundtrack, and the light, airy nature of the shakuhachi sits nicely on top of the vigorous rhythm section beneath it. Right from the get-go, this first section tells us all we need to know. Asia Minor is fast, imposing, and otherworldly. After a few bars, we're brought to the song's next section, which dials up the Eastern influence with various chants and bells. It casts a towering shadow of mystery and intrigue. To me, the main section of the song reflects the idea that you're driving into a major Japanese city and you're captivated by the colossal buildings and structures. But then the second section represents you flocking deeper into the city. You're lost, driving through neighborhood streets and alleyways with an increasing awareness that you're in unfamiliar territory. The next section is brought in with a widespread gong, and the drums and bass play a frantic, unified rhythm, intensity continuing to ramp up. It feels like you've gone too far into the dark, cryptic depths of the city, and it's time to turn around. And after this, the song repeats. Asia Minor feels equal parts curious, mystical, and powerful. And it's by far one of the most memorable musical experiences from Cruis'n World. Now, vastly differing in tone is Islander. Islander is rooted with a solid Eurodance beat and brought to life with calypso-style instrumentation. The song offers an uplifting steel drum melody, evoking a strong sense of joy. Top this with some bird-like sound effects, and you can really feel Islander's happy-go-lucky tropical ambience. The second part of the melody phrase offers a slight tonal shift through its chord structuring. After repeating the same chord progression 4 times, the song doesn't go back to its home chord of G major again, and instead shifts to its relative minor chord, E minor. It creates a slightly darker undertone as the steel drums lightly roll into the distance. It's such a nice embellishment that adds just a bit of melodic nuance. Next, the song then transitions into a short sequence in which the drum beat drives on and the other instruments are replaced by a fun timbale performance alongside other various percussion, further emphasizing that tropical feel. Then, we're introduced to Islander's final section, boasting cheerful, spirited Spanish vocals. Now, once again, translation is not my specialty, but here's what others have said the lyrics are translated to in English. If anything, these lyrics do nothing but heighten the song's sense of positivity. Overall, Islander provides a warm and welcoming sound, symbolizing a perfect place for a pit stop during a road trip. Well, we've got just one more track to go. And in my opinion, there's no song from Cruis'n World that fuses musical genres as masterfully as this one. Cairo Cruis'n. The track starts with some light bongos and thundering drum strikes, paired together with a haunting sitar sequence, immediately placing us in the Middle Eastern region of the world. Next, we're acquainted with the song's main motif, which is played on the mizmar, a wind instrument commonly associated with the Middle East. This whole introduction sets the stage for the song's overall tone, which carries a looming sense of secrecy and mystery. And then, the drums, bass, and ghostly chants come together to create what I think is the absolute best groove that the entire Cruis'n World soundtrack has to offer. God, I love how this sounds. The drum pattern is syncopated and bright, and the warm bass line complements it so perfectly. Now that the song has established a solid rhythmic foundation, the main motif is reintroduced, reinforcing the song's highly evocative atmosphere. From this point onwards, the motif is tastefully repeated every once in a while, with the aforementioned chanting taking up the space in between. Cairo Cruis'n's vivid presentation conjures up images of expansive desert lands and blinding arid skies. And its cool drum groove, uniquely melodic bass line, and mysterious tone blend together to create an unparalleled musical experience from beginning to end. Although varying widely in instrumentation, Cruis'n World's Worldbeat tracks still share a common thread. In each song, you'll feel an underlying sense of mystery, adventure, and discovery, evoking the blend of emotions we feel while driving through new areas and exploring them. At the end of the day, the Cruis'n World soundtrack is a tribute, celebrating the fun and the freedoms of driving. No matter what you focus on when listening to these 14 tracks, you'll feel it. The fast, propulsive cadence of the music characterizes a car in motion, and each track's distinct musical identity illustrates all the different places your car can take you, and all the feelings you'll have along the way. I could spend all day dissecting these songs, marauding my way through melodies and dredging up themes buried deep beneath the surface. But admittedly, it doesn't take any degree of music analysis to feel what the Cruis'n World soundtrack is at its core: fun. And in my opinion, that's all it's really trying to be. Cruis'n World is simple. It doesn't have a complex, thought-provoking narrative. It's a dumb little racing game. But you know what? The innumerous hours I've spent playing this dumb little racing game are some of the most cherished hours of my life. Something seemingly simple can still spark personal, meaningful experiences. I mean, why else would I have made this video? And what about you? I mean, look back on that seemingly simple road trip you just went on. You felt that unshakable rush of excitement as you put your foot on the gas and started your drive. You experienced the thrill of maneuvering your vehicle through the fast-paced highway. Then you slowed down and took in the sights and the sounds while cruising around town. And you traveled to new places, discovering, exploring, relishing in the mysteries, and unraveling the fears of the unknown. Those all sound like pretty significant experiences, if you ask me. Ultimately, it is your choice to apply a deeper meaning to the music from Cruis'n World. But if you do, you'll probably find that it's within our smallest, simplest experiences that the soundtrack leaves its beautifully ironic message. Something doesn't need a profound meaning to be profoundly meaningful.
Cruising the world. Yeah, yeah. You've got speed. You've got power.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this video. As of the recording of this video, everything is done. I finished editing, it's all ready to go, so now I am outside taking a much needed break. When I was a kid, I hated going to the store. What kid likes going to the store, right? But I had to go. But there was one redeeming factor for me. So at the Walmart that we would go to, that in-between room from the main entrance, that in-between room, you go through, there's a middle room then where the carts are, and then there's the actual building. That middle room had one lone arcade machine, and it was Cruis'n World. And it was my first exposure to any arcade games. Cruis'n World was my very first arcade game, and after I discovered that was there, from that point on, I would beg my dad, let's go to Walmart. I want to go to Walmart just to play Cruis'n World. So I have so many fond memories of that game, and the music, of course, has always stuck with me as well. But that's enough about me. I want to know about you. Tell me your memories with Cruis'n World, and what are your favorite songs? I would love to know those. But in the meantime, I'm going to get back plugging away at the next video. I cannot wait to see where VGM Quest takes us all. It's been such a great and fun passion project, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. So more videos to come. And until then, I guess I'll see you guys next time.